What's going on YouTube? Today we are going to be talking about MCU's first miniseries, WandaVision. Warning to everyone listening, there will be spoilers. And before we get into it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And let's start it off with a small recap of Wanda and Vision's story leading up to the show. Sean, take it away.
So I guess maybe we should start off with what both of our knowledges of the MCU up to this point. Where
I know everything. I know everything.
I've seen everything. I'm really caught up on everything. I even watched the Legends episodes that they released before this series came out, which I told Pedro to watch. I don't think he watched them.
So I did watch them.
Oh, okay.
I watched them after I watched the 2 episodes of WandaVision.
Okay.
So they did not help me.
I guess going into the episode if you didn't watch them, but you haven't really watched much MCU stuff, right?
No, but I think even so for the person that hasn't watched them, the Legends, I still had questions after watching it. Like it didn't really explain everything, and they were throwing in, the other characters too, because they have to. It's the whole universe. They have, a lot of Tony Stark going on, and at the end of it, for example, I know that Tony Stark has something to do with Vision and how he was created or something.
Yeah.
But just watching the Legends alone, I still can't piece all that together.
Okay.
And I don't even know if that's important. But
the fact that Tony Stark created Vision is probably not super important for this story. Probably, I doubt it. So basically, quick little, I don't know, minute recap of the whole situation is, Tony Stark, Vision started as Jarvis, Tony Stark's AI, and then Tony Stark wanted to create Ultron to put a shield around the Earth. Ultron tried to kill Jarvis, but Tony had like a backup of him. And then you kind of see it in the recap where Ultron takes over like a bunch of ratty like Iron Man armor, but he wants to create himself like a body that he could live in. So he creates basically Vision's body, but Tony ends up putting Jarvis's mind into the body with the Mind Stone, which makes him uber powerful. Like Vision and Wanda are the 2 most powerful beings in the MCU.
okay.
And then basically, since they're so powerful, they're attracted, like they're just drawn to each other.
But is Vision powerful without the stone? Because that's what I thought, he was powerful because of that. But then that guy comes and takes it.
So in Infinity War, they make you think that he'll still have those abilities even with the stone, because they attempt to remove the stone before everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
But we don't know for sure, I guess, as far as the movie universe goes, because you never see him without the stone. Once he ends up dying with Thanos ripping the stone out of his head. So we don't know for sure.
So I think the main thing, so Vision's story was kind of clear. Now, I watched most of the MCU ones, and then they were sporadic throughout my life as they were being released, so I forgot a lot of it. But I think the main takeaway for Vision is, he was created, he had the stone, Thanos took the stone, and then Vision got killed.
He got killed while Thanos took the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the stone was so like just integrated into his being, basically. And they were attempting to remove the stone before that happened, but when Thanos's army attacked, Vision had to stop doing that to help fight.
Okay, so that explains what's going on with Vision, but as far as Wanda goes, I am so confused because I don't know exactly where her story left off.
So you know who she is, though, right?
She's a witch.
She's a witch. Technically, before Disney bought Fox, they couldn't use the word mutant. So in the comics, she's actually the daughter of oh crap, Magneto. She's Magneto's daughter. So she's a mutant. Her and her brother were mutants.
Gotcha.
But they couldn't use the term mutant, so they call her. They said that she was special or gifted or whatever, and they call it. She's refer to her more as a witch, and that's just because they can't call it.
Yeah.
They couldn't legally use the word mutant.
Damn, that's shady. That's Sony? Who owns it?
Fox owned it. Owned X-Men and the word mutant and stuff for movies. Or for these comic book movies and stuff. But
Gotcha.
Disney bought Fox, so now Disney is able to start implementing that into their story. So they're going to start implementing like Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU and whatnot. But that's stuff way down the road. But basically, she's just like, she's an uber powerful mutant. And her story basically ends off. I don't think you really see exactly what happens at the very end. I forget. It's been a while since I watched Endgame, but she's lost her brother. She fell in love with Vision. Vision got killed by Thanos. And I think the last time you really see her is when she's fighting in the major battle at the end of Endgame.
Yeah, and Endgame is the last one, the MCU, last movie so far.
Yeah.
And
well, that was the last. That was the last movie that had all these key characters in it, because Spider-Man Far From Home came out after Endgame.
Yeah,
but it didn't. But that was, they kept pretty separate from all these. But as characters.
Far as Wanda goes, the last time we saw her, she was fighting Thanos, and so that's, I guess, the confusion. But I think that's the confusion that everyone's having, because it's like, how do we go from her fighting to WandaVision?
Yes, that's the mystery in this show. Kind of like, okay, what's going on? Because Vision's dead.
Yep.
And you know that last time you saw her, she was fighting and stuff. But there's,
well, there could be a time like gap also.
There's most likely a time gap.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be years, it could be months, days. I doubt it's right after she's fighting. All of a sudden, this is going on.
Yeah, for sure. So, we kind of talked about throwing out some theories out there and stuff, and some people are kind of theorizing that she has created this like alternate universe in her head because she couldn't cope with the death of Vision. But there's characters in the show that are actually part of the bigger picture. So it's kind of looking more like, and kind of the way that the first episode ended, where it kind of cut to a room with them watching a monitor.
That's why it doesn't track that.
Yeah. In the second episode, we're introduced to, I forget her name, but she was the lady who like they threw into the box, and when they opened up the box on the stage, and she was standing there all confused.
I know who you're talking about. Let's see if we can get a name on there.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm looking at episode 1. No wonder why I'm not seeing anything. Tiana Paris. She plays Monica in the show.
Okay.
Monica, the character, is actually the daughter of Miss Marvel's best friend and Captain Marvel, or Captain Marvel's best friend and Captain Marvel. Sorry, not Miss Marvel. But so in that movie that takes place in the 80s, she was a little kid, but she's an adult in this story, in this world. Right. So there's definitely a lot of confusion, a lot of puzzle pieces that's going to be put together as the series goes on, for sure.
Yeah. So, what were your impressions of the style that they went with? Now, I thought this was only going to be like a 5-minute segment where it was black and white, and it was like an episode of like Bewitched and everything. I thought it was going to turn to color. Things were going to happen after maybe 5-10 minutes. The whole episode, both of them are like that. What did you think about that?
I had a little bit more of an idea that was going to be happening as the series went on, because I kind of like read up a little bit more on it probably than you did and stuff like that. And they talked about how this is nothing like anything the MCU has ever done before. So I was a little bit more prepared for that. And as far as what I thought about the episodes and stuff, I went through probably like 5 years ago, I went through a Dick Van Dyke stage where me and my wife watched the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
And so the first episode I loved because it was basically that. That's what they're going for. I even read that they talked to Dick Van Dyke to get like helpful points and stuff on how to do a sitcom in that style. And then the second episode seemed to be more like Bewitched. Mm-hmm. And that one I had a little bit of harder time getting into. I definitely enjoyed the first episode more than the second episode, but I haven't really watched Bewitched, so that might be part of it.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I found it kind of boring. Now, I watched it with a friend, and she loves all those old shows. Mm-hmm. She pointed out all the Bewitched references, and she's like, this is just like, this. And she was getting like a I Love Lucy vibe a little bit in certain things, and she loved it. She hasn't watched any of the MCU. She doesn't like superheroes. She doesn't like anything. But she was like, as a standalone thing, she was like, yeah, they're kind of poking fun at all these old, shows, and she liked it. I was looking at her, I was panning over, looking at her face, and she was just smiling, and she was laughing at some of these things. And I'm over here like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
Because I think my mind was so on superheroes, and this like they were trying to. It's so different.
Yeah.
And then, but something's up with it. Like it can't be this the whole way. There's some underlying thing.
Yeah.
And the first episode, to me, was kind of like it was just a parody of the show. The only thing different was the last like 30 seconds where they show someone watching, and it looks like someone's orchestrating or keeping an eye on her, or like monitoring, I should say.
Yeah, and there's a few kind of as the first episode went on, like when they're at the dinner table, there seemed to be like kind of like hiccups with kind of almost what was supposed, like things weren't seeming exactly right, but then things would kind of get snapped back into place, and then it started moving forward again.
And they did that very slowly. So the first episode, the only thing I can think of was that dinner scene. Now, there may have been like slight little tiny ones spread out that I didn't notice. But then you got to the second episode and they like put a little more. Like they did is it Pleasantville kind of, where it's black and white and it turns a little color?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had a little bit of that going on where the blood was red and there were some other colors.
Which is always a fun little thing. I always enjoy that.
Yeah, and certain things are just kind of being a little weird, and my assumption is the next episode, more weird stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's going to just build up.
Yeah. Now, my assumption going in though, when I was watching it, was someone was doing this because she was too powerful. That's what I thought. Yeah. I was like, maybe she's too powerful, so they have to keep her in her mind so she doesn't get out of control. Now, I don't know how well that would work with the whole story, but
if that was the case at all, I guess there just had to be more explaining on how she got into that position in the first place. Because, like I said, when Endgame ends, as far as I remember, she's like, all the Avengers are all just doing their own thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other conflict other than they just saved the universe, basically.
Yeah, but I feel like they could if they wanted to. If they wanted to go release another movie, and maybe it's not about Wanda, maybe it's about someone else, and Wanda's just in it, they can go back in time, in between that time frame. They can go back and, it's not just that linear timeline that the MCU's working with. So,
well, I do know that they have said that this series is directly connected to a couple other movies that are coming out, which is Spider-Man 3. They're going to loosely be connected, which is going to deal with Spider-Man's multiverse. And then the new Doctor Strange movie coming out that's called Doctor Strange and the Universe of Madness. The Multiverse of Madness, sorry. Yeah. So all these, like, they're introducing the multiverse, and apparently this series goes into that in some fashion.
Yeah.
I don't know how. She's going to be in Doctor Strange. I don't think she's in Spider-Man. I don't know anything about Vision, if he's in any future stuff, if he comes back, or if this is just all in her head, or what's going on.
What if
Be-
this is an alternate Wanda in a different universe? I don't know if that would make sense, but I'm gonna throw that out there just in case it does happen. I'm like, I called it. No, that's a stretch right there. But
Yeah.
I mean, could it be possible though that this isn't the actual Wanda that we know?
I mean, any of that could be possible in the MCU because they also have in Captain Marvel they introduced the scrolls, and it sounds like that there might go deeper into the scrolls. Do you know what those are?
No.
Basically, in the comic books, scrolls are alien beings who can shapeshift, and it turns out that a lot of the actual heroes have been squirrels, like they've been aliens. They haven't actually been them, so they've been like posing as other people on Earth and stuff.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is just getting crazy, and it's going to be getting crazier. And I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg of the craziness.
Right. So do you think Vision's alive anywhere? Or do you think this is just really a manifestation of her mind wanting to be with him so much that he's just fake at this point?
I think that this is in her head, but that she is so powerful, she might bring him back somehow. Like she might like will him back into existence or something like that.
Does Tony Stark not have a backup of this guy? I mean,
Not a once Vision got made,
yeah.
he ceased to be Jarvis. Like he became a whole different being once he got like entwined with the Mind Stone.
Well, I guess he could. Well, hold on. Tony Stark's dead though, right?
Tony Stark's dead too.
Yeah, I guess he can't just go to his backup archive because I'm like, just make a new Vision. He may not be the other one, but it'll be kind of the same.
No, yeah. So, yeah, I have no idea where they're going with this for sure, but
I mean, let's think about
forward
this,
to seeing what happens.
Now, another possibility though is that this is happening before all the was it Endgame? That's the last one.
Yes.
Before Endgame happened. Because did they really track where she was the whole time?
She was with Vision. I mean, they were like kind of on the run. They're keeping.
No, I mean from when Thanos killed Vision and snapped his fingers. Could this all be happening before they went and killed him? Because I don't remember them talk. I don't remember Wanda really talking that much. I just remember her fighting.
No, I don't. I'm trying to remember. She got snapped. I think she might have got snapped when Thanos snapped.
You think this could be the snap stage where she's so powerful that she didn't really get snapped, but she had to go. She had to go like hide in her mind somewhere.
No, I really think that they're past all that stuff. I think everything we're seeing now is going to be after Endgame. I think that they're moving forward because they declared this kind of the beginning of Phase 4. So I think that everything from here on it's going to be kind of in the forward direction.
Right. I can't get behind that though, because this show to me relies so much on another movie or an outside explanation, and for it to be the first one and then just leave it so open where anything could be possible, I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of annoying.
Wait, hang on. Say that one more time. Sorry,
I was just saying that since this is the first one in Phase 4,
yeah,
and it's the first miniseries, it seems like they're going a little wild with their concept, because I bet you once those other movies get released, that's going to be the glue that makes WandaVision make sense. I bet on its own, we'll have no idea what's going on.
I don't know. I think that they might explain it. I know that their original plan was WandaVision was actually supposed to come out after one of the movies. I forget which movie. I forget if it was Doctor Strange or Spider-Man, but it was supposed to come out after one of the movies. But because of the whole pandemic, everything got switched around.
Yeah.
So maybe
And that probably explains everything.
well, maybe, but
I mean, I'm not.
we
looking
have
for
yet to see
full-
exactly what happens. I know that the organization within the Marvel Universe called SWORD has something to do with the show, because when she picked up the helicopter, there's a SWORD logo on it. And that character I was talking before, Monica, she is actually, as an adult, she's part of SWORD.
Okay.
And SWORD is basically SHIELD, but for space. You know what SHIELD is? Agents of SHIELD. Like SHIELD is like the secret organization on Earth that monitors the superheroes and stuff. SWORD is basically that, only they're like in a giant like space station up in space. And they're like galactic type thing. Like at the end of Captain Marvel, Nick Fury was like chilling up there. Like he was going to become like the leader of SWORD or something like that.
But he's just a regular dude, right?
Yeah.
but how is he still alive?
But so there's already been multiple tie-ins to that. So I think that's obviously indicating that SWORD has something to do with what's going on. Right?
Yeah. I saw SWORD. I didn't understand it, but I noticed when they put like Stark Industries on one of the, I don't know if it was commercial or something.
Yeah.
Like they mentioned, I'm like, okay, I need to start looking out for little symbols and little things in here because they probably matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was definitely I was trying to figure out what the commercial in the second episode, because it was like a Strucker brand. Do you know what I'm talking about? The commercial in the second one?
I know, but I didn't get it either. Like it didn't register anything special to me, but probably does.
Yeah. So, and Strucker, there's a Hydra character named Strucker. So I was wondering if it had something to do with him, because he was kind of entwined in Hydra and SHIELD and everything, but he's kind of a lower guy, so I doubt it. But yeah, I've been trying to pay attention to those clues and everything that's going on with it. It's hard to tell though, because it's so vague right now.
Yeah, because this just seems like the show itself right now, as it stands, it's kind of like it's just a mystery. You know, like you're watching it to try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just one of those. You're getting no action from this. Like your standard action. You're getting really no. She's not like, I don't know if they're fireballs, but she's not casting like fireballs all over the place. But she is using her magic to levitate and do things. You know, it really to me is just like watching Bewitched and trying to pick little things that happen and piece things together.
I think that they're actually pretty smart releasing these first two episodes together, because I feel like if you would have went week to week from the first episode to the second episode, then had to wait for the third episode, that might have been a little tough with me, of how close, like how kind of slow the first two episodes were.
Yeah.
You know, I expect things to start picking up pretty quickly.
Yeah, because I don't know. I still kind of find it just boring in general.
Because I think there's only 7 episodes.
IMDb
8
says
or 9. No, there's 9 episodes. My bad.
Yeah. But I think this show success is going to be determined on the ending.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like where they're going with this. Because then you can look back and be like, oh, that was genius that they did the whole, you know, old show style and they did this and that and they slowly. But if that end payoff is something stupid, then it's just going to ruin this show completely. It's going to have like a Game of Thrones effect going on.
No, yeah, I have faith in it. I think what they're doing so far is fun, even though the second episode didn't really quite jive with me too much. I'm still having fun with it so far, so I got faith in them. And I got faith in MCU. MCU really doesn't let me down.
Well, but MCU, from what I've seen, is they kind of rely on a formula for these movies. even down to the characters. It seems like everyone there's action. Every characters cracks some jokes. They're all comedians now. Like every single character. And to me, this show kind of steps away from their winning kind of mold that they have for the MCU. And I think it's a gamble. I don't know if it's going to pay off in the end.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they took kind of a big swing with like Thor Ragnarok, because that was a crazy different tone. It did have all the action though.
Yeah, and they threw comedy. They made Thor into like comic relief now. Like they slowly did that. But it makes sense because the first couple Thor movies in my mind were boring. I didn't like Thor. I didn't like the movies. But then as soon as he got funny, they started throwing Fat Thor in there and all those other things. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah, the interesting about this show is how it's very slapstick, obviously, because they're doing the old timey sitcom shows. But then there's super serious moments where things get super serious just for a moment, and it cuts immediately back to laugh track and people laughing and stuff. I wonder how long they're going to try to keep up like the comedic aspect of this. I don't know why I keep doing everything in quotes. Yeah. I wonder how they're going to keep up the comedic aspect of this show. Because I feel like there's going to be a turn.
Yeah. Well, they need to end it soon, I think. Like by next episode, they need to, stop doing that and stop treating it like it's an old an old show, old sitcom show.
And then there's also the beekeeper at the end of episode 2, which people have been
I was so confused about that because I'm like, beekeeper, what does it have to do? And the rewinding, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, she looks at him. What did she say? She looked at him and she's just like, no, and then it rewound or something.
Yeah, so I was like, is that no, like you recognize him? Is it like no that you want to keep the fantasy up that you're living in? I have no idea where they're going with that.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm kind of quickly reading up on some like what people are theorizing, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's too soon for any theories unless someone has some inside knowledge or there's like a comic book that they're playing off of. I have no idea how anybody could know what's going on in this. Everything to me would be like this wild blind guess,
I mean, it could be like a Truman Show situation.
I mean, yeah. I mean, isn't that what they kind of hinted on in the first one with someone watching?
Yeah, but I mean, with the people in the world knowing who she is and kind of playing along like multiple
with it. People?
Like her neighbor, gotcha. And like everybody.
So the people in it know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know how much that makes sense if she was able to like reset time. But it's weird that they have people who are going to be characters in future things, in this, because she couldn't have just made up this world in her head, because there's known characters that are going to be part of the world moving forward.
Well, I'm also wondering if she was making up in her head, why would she resort to this old timey show? Like, was that even in her character to do that?
Nothing explained like that, but I could have imagined that they could throw something in there with, like, when she was locked up as a kid or something, she just watched a lot of old television or something, so it's kind of a happy place for her. I don't know. Or like before she got locked up or volunteered before her parents died. I guess I should say they watched a lot of old television together or something, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because right now we're just going to have to fill in those gaps. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. She grew up on old TV. But did she rewind it? Or did she see the beekeeper say no, and then someone hit the, oh shit, let's rewind this button?
I took it as if she did, but I don't know. How did you read that part?
I was more in someone else rewinded it. Like the person watching or whoever is keeping her there. And what did they keep saying?
Who's doing this to you?
Yeah,
like there's a voice. Yeah, who's doing this to you keeps popping up. So obviously, maybe somebody has her like trapped in her own mind, and they're recording what's going on.
I'm trying to think of who could do that in Marvel. Be a good old Professor X right there.
Well, what I'm seeing is, like I said, Sword could be evolved. And then another one was somebody with the beekeeper. There's a shadowy organization of mad scientists known as AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics. And it's a group that showed up in Iron Man 3. But they're often seen wearing hazmat suits and are often referred to as beekeepers. So they might have something to do with it, or Hydra could have something to do with it still.
I mean, just hearing that though, that almost to me sounds 100%. That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know
they're
anything
called
about
this
that.
hazmat suits, all that. Yeah, it's got to be that.
Yeah.
I actually would be okay with that if they did kind of a throwback to, because Iron Man 3 was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for them to grab something from there and put it in so people could, someone pieced it together, someone thought of it. Yeah, I think it's kind of genius if that's what's going on.
So this says AIM is a fictional criminal organization appearing in Marvel Comics. In most version, it is depicted as a network of terrorist arms dealers and scientists specializing in highly advanced and technological weaponry, whose ultimate goal is to overthrow the world governments for their own gains and stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
Typical bad guy motive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the organization originated as a branch of Hydra created by Baron Strucker.
Well then, mystery solved. All right, we don't need to go into the theory. There's no aliens probing her right now. Like 100%.
We solved it.
Every single thing was shown in some form that would, reinforce that idea. So I guess the mystery is how do they get her?
How did they get her? What are they doing to her exactly? What's happening? What's the end game of it?
Take over the government.
No, what's the how the show's gonna end? I mean, how the story's gonna play out.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have an idea then on what's going on. I mean, that's kind of disappointing and cool at the same time. A little disappointed that
I'm sorry that I cracked that for you.
I know all the wacky things. She didn't get abducted. This isn't back in time. This isn't whatever. Vision's still dead.
Might have to put a possible future spoiler thing on this one.
Right.
we cracked the code.
And yeah. Well, I mean, that's that. I don't really have much to say.
Yeah. As far as these first two episodes go, just kind of rewinding, taking everything back down. First episode, I loved just because I had the Dick Van Dyke references and everything. I knew, like you said, your friend, like she understood all the Bewitched references and everything. So she absolutely loved it. The second episode didn't hit as much with me because I didn't understand a lot of those comedic references, but I thought with things starting to happen, more of the mystery kind of unfolding, I had fun with both of them overall. And I'm looking forward to next week's episode.
Yeah. I'm going to watch next week. Again, my enjoyment's going to come down to where they go with this.
You're watching every week. We're doing this whole season.
Well, yeah, we're going to watch it, but I'm just saying it's not blowing my mind, Yeah, I wouldn't say you need to watch it, but if
I would say if you're into the MCU, watch it.
Yeah, but the people that are in the MCU watch everything. It's like the Star Wars people. They just watch everything.
Well, yeah, but they've said that this is everything's gonna tie in with everything. These shows are gonna tie in with all the movies and so on. So it's kind of a must watch, I guess, if you're a fan of the MCU is what I'm saying. But so far I've been interested enough in it. I did look at my phone a couple times during the second episode, I won't lie. But
yeah. Or so far as it stands, it's boring in my mind. And it's just, it has potential. It can get better. It could be a great show. It just depends on the remaining 7 episodes.
Yeah, I think if because I have a feeling that they're going to continue to rely on kind of eras of TV shows for at least a couple more episodes, which I'm a little worried about because if you're not familiar with those eras of sitcoms and stuff, you're not going to enjoy this, it seems like, like you said, like you're not familiar with these kind of what they were playing with in these first couple episodes. So to you, none of the jokes were really hitting or anything like that was really hitting. So
the weird part about this to me is I think the average person that likes the MCU universe is probably in their 30s. When they were growing up, they were watching all the Marvel cartoons, in the morning, X-Men, Spider, they were watching all this.
Yeah.
And then, as they grew up, and I'm in that age range too. So, I think it'd be targeting more people in the 30s. So for them to grab, or for them to portray all these older shows, when did all those shows like Bewitched and all that come out? Like what year was that?
Dick Van Dyke was, I believe, in the 50s, and Bewitched was more 60s, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So it was 64 for Bewitched. So yeah. So the 50s and 60s, and it's like all the people that are in the 30s, I shouldn't say all, most of them, all this is just going to go over there. All the references, all the joke, everything's just going to be like, oh, I don't really get it. And I'm not going to go back and watch all these old shows. Some people will, but it I don't know. It would make more sense.
I mean, I go back and watch Dick Van Dyke Show because it's just an awesome show. But
I mean, it would make more sense. It probably wouldn't be as good, but to be parroting things like Friends or 90s sitcoms, it wouldn't be as entertaining, but I think I would relate a lot more. And I think a lot of people that are into the MCU would relate and get the jokes way more if they did like Seinfeld or something.
Seinfeld.
Yeah. Vision's like Kramer.
That'd actually probably be pretty fun.
But I mean, the jokes would have landed more for me and people like me. But
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
That's all. But the 50s and 60s, this is very stylized. And that's probably why they chose that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that they're definitely going for that, like, black and white into color. Like, I think that's supposed to represent other stuff that's going on with dots being connected and stuff like that too. So
yeah, well, we'll find out. Wait, they're gonna come out
every Friday?
Is it? And one of them, just one?
Yeah, for me on out, it's gonna be one a week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. You got anything else to say about this before we close it up?
No, sir.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, listening to us talk about WandaVision. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. There's a bell somewhere. You might as well hit that too so you're notified. And we're going to be doing this every Friday.
We're probably...
Or not exactly Friday. But
we'll figure it out.
Every time they're released. We'll be talking about it.
Every day or two after release, we'll be dropping our thoughts on the episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will see everyone next time.
I'll be there too.
We will see everyone next time. Sorry, I got my own channel, so I'm used to saying I will. All right, later, everyone.
Bye.